For the walk, I'm walking around with you all and we're talking about plants, but I want it to be kind of community knowledge sharing. I live in a place where we have a lot of similar plants, so I know some of the plants that'll be here, but we're at a time of the year where everyone's kind of changing and looking different. So we have on the map some of the plants that the Sea Farm people were able to point out for us as like being guaranteed as like native plants that will be here. I'm hoping we can all kind of walk around together and talk about the plants that are here and things that you all might know that I don't know. I'm curious about other people's experiences with plants, with medicines, with if anyone has memories of a parent or a grandparent, talking about any plants in particular, if anyone knows any language about plants. I feel like it could be a cool time to share.
The oral tradition of our Delaware band at Six Nations is called the Celestial Bear. There are a number of songs and chants that are recited, and there's one in particular that apparently was recited based on a dream that my great-great-grandfather had as their particular band was making their way in a westerly direction from sort of New York State towards Buffalo and Fort Niagara. And it's called I Smelled Something Beautiful Along the Way, and it's apparently at one point in their journey westward, I don't know if it was a particular valley or whatever, but it was notable for its lilac bushes, and it was the first time he'd ever smelled lilac apparently, and it really stuck with him for the rest of his life. So it's an interesting observation that his own memories would be plant-based, flower-based, something like that. So this morning too, I'd spoken about that Indians of Canada Pavilion at Expo 67. One of the sort of sub-stories there is that when my father was working there, he was adamant that he plant a small plot of Six Nations corn. And, you know, today they would call that asserting Indigenous food sovereignty. He just called it planting corn.
We're passing all of these kind of briary, probably raspberry leaves, which this is one of the plants that people use to regulate their menstrual cycles, and also would have been a food plant that is native to this area. And it's related to the rose. It's a rose relation. Oh, pretty. Little late goldenrod flowers. So there's like dozens of types of goldenrod, like kind of all over the United States at this point. And these are, people make them into tinctures now. You can also take them as tea, but they flower like over long periods of time, so the different kinds will kind of be like coming forth. And I was talking to one of my friends who is Chata and Cherokee and Muskegee, and her elder told her that, her Muskegee elder told her that 6 weeks after the full bloom of the goldenrod is when your first frost is. And so that people are using plants historically as a way to kind of track the time, track the climate, as well as using them as like, so this is like a calendar plant, but as well as a way to like nourish ourselves and our bodies.
What do you use goldenrod for? What are some of the uses?
So as a tea, it's good for urinary tract infections. As a tincture, people use it as like kind of an allergy medicine for any sinus infections, kind of like anything kind of respiratory in this area. And people usually use, they say you should harvest it, if you're gonna use it dried, you should harvest it when the first flower has opened. If you're gonna use it fresh, you wait till the whole thing blooms so it has its like highest oil content for extraction. Okay, we can continue. Oh my gosh, sassafras! Yeah, little bits of sassafras around. And then we walked through a little bit, and if you saw it at the parking lot, this is the black walnut I was talking about. They're using it as in the dye workshop. This is like a plant that you wait to harvest after it's falling down, and they say you should harvest the green ones. You kind of just squish it on the ground, and then there's another, this is the part that stains your hands. All of this kind of wet stuff in the green hole, but you crack this open and it's extremely hard, so it would have been something that people really had to work to get at, but it's like one of the most nutritious nuts you can eat. It's like so fatty, it's really high in protein, and so it's really nutrient dense. And if you do ever want to harvest these, it's best to harvest them when they're green. As they get black, the stain that's in the green hull gets into the nut and it changes the flavor a little bit. Do you know any water words? We are talking about water words. Yeah. So in B for water, and then we were talking about how to say I go to the river, but we haven't.
Well, Sipong Dam.
Sipong Dam.
I'm going to the river.
I'm going to the river.
But I don't know how to say we're going to the river.
We haven't figured that
How
one
would
out.
you just say river?
Sipo.
Sipo.
And little, like a little river is
Sipish?
Sipowish.
Sipowish.
I think yeah.
And we've seen some of the invasives that I've seen so far have been the honeysuckle. A lot of those plants will have little red berries, and they look really pretty. The reason that these plants are a big deal is because, number one, they're acting aggressively, and a lot of like our native species aren't eating them. And so like when these plants are competing and taking up a lot of space and doing a really good job and loving life and like being like, what beautiful land, what beautiful soil, our like relatives that would normally, that are like looking for their foods are not recognizing these things as things that are edible. And some of them are poisonous to the plants and or the animals that live here. And so yeah, I'm like seeing all these little red berries. I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, it looks really beautiful, but it is like something that is like different. It's a way the landscape has changed since we would have, you know, been here previously. But yeah, the word invasive is like an interesting like word. Yeah, it's like talking about invasive plants is like an interesting subject. I think like, you know, our climate is changing really fast, and so we're seeing kind of the effects of like human movement, plant movement, climate change when we're looking at like these plants that are coming to a new place and they're really thriving here. And it's like, you know, the land is changing, the plants are changing, the animals are changing, the people are changing, you know. I can kind of get into like sometimes you get into weird conversations with people about the way that people talk about like invasive species or weedy species or, you know, that kind of thing. But, and we also know that it's important to like steward our lands and like, you know, really care for the animals and the plants that have been here for a long time. Yeah. You should encourage everyone to keep the milkweed.
Because that brings the butterflies.
Yeah, and it's the only thing that the monarch caterpillars will eat. The butterflies will eat other flowers, but the caterpillars will only eat the milkweed. Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. This is a hickory tree, which would have been a really important food tree. It still is a really important food tree, but a really important food tree for traditional people. You can make a really delicious, which I've only had one time, like nut milk by pounding this up and adding water. It's really highly nutritious. There's lots of different kinds of hickories. Oh wow, there's so much going on. I know. Oh, ow, spiky.
Oh, Cheyenne, here's some. This may have a little something left to it because it's still green.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, you can smell it if you.
Ready to smell?
Yeah. It smells so good.
Yeah, I love the leaves. They're just so feather-like.
Yeah.
Right? Just really, really delicate. Yeah. Those guys are browning, but.
And then when there are other plants that look kind of similar to yarrow, so if you're foraging for them, like it's best to look when.
Look at the close up there.
Yeah, so it's. I'm gonna say this wrong, but like kind of umbrellifolia is like kind of the style of flower that kind of like carrots have, but these are like a little bit different. They grow a little bit differently. But hemlock and there's some other like plants like that that are actually poisonous that look similar to yarrow. So it's like best to wait until it flowers if you're unfamiliar with the plant.
Great. What is that?
Oh yeah. Oh cool. This is like really random that this is here. This is a kind of marigold. It has a really strong smell if you want to smell it.
The flower or leaf or
the flower. All.
Oh, it's
yeah.
like lemony.
Yeah.
Oh my God, these are really?
When you move it.
Yeah. Everyone smell.
Smell. Okay, hold on.